Hi everybody! So today is my latest in my obscure animation series, and this is something I do once a month where I profile a animated film that is less well known and I tell you why you should go out and see it. And today's pick is probably less obscure than it is, I think, underappreciated. A lot of people really do love this movie and know about it, but I thought I would give it a shout out. It's certainly not as famous as like a Disney movie or something like that. So we're going to talk about Transformers the movie, and I'm going to give a lot of spoilers in this review. So this movie's 30 years old. If you haven't seen it, go check it out, then come back, watch this review if you care about spoilers. But let's talk about it. Transformers the movie was released in 1986, and it makes me sad because this movie has so much more going for it than the Michael Bay monstrosities that we've gotten over the years. This movie works on such an emotional level that you never get from any of his films, and it actually works from a storytelling level that you never get from any of his films. So I just almost wish I could like force him watch this movie, and I don't know, it's frustrating. But anyway, it is basically a really good sci-fi story. And one of the things that makes it good is kind of a cynical reason. It just goes to show that sometimes commercial motives can actually be really helpful in making a movie work, which is interesting because they wanted to sell more Transformers toys. And so they decided they wanted to introduce all these new characters. Well, in order to do that, they ended up having to kill off or harm their regular characters, their standing characters, in order to introduce these new characters. So it's the cynical reason, but it actually created like emotion and stakes for the story. The story of Transformers the movie is pretty complicated, but basically it comes down to you get thrown right into the battle between, this is supposed to be 2005, and you get thrown into the battle between the Autobots and the Decepticons, and they're fighting, and they don't waste any time with like an origin story or like some human finding the Transformers. There's only two humans in the story. There's a father and a son, and they are just sort of part of the team, and they work, and there's emotion behind their story, and that's it. But the main emotion is the characters of the Transformers, which is what Bay never gets right. It always says these annoying humans. And he should just do a story about Transformers. Anyway, we're talking about this movie. So it starts out with this battle between the Decepticons and the Autobots, and they're fighting, and you meet a ton of different characters. Pretty rough. There's like lots of people. There's lots of characters that die, and it's a real battle. And Optimus kind of single-handedly defeats the Decepticons in this one battle, but he engages with Megatron, and Megatron wounds Optimus, and so you actually see Optimus dies, and he makes a sacrifice for all the people. There's sort of a messianic tone to the film. It's very sad. It's very well done. This work is all excellent, and you have Peter Cullen as Optimus Prime. It's like somebody who's a leader, has a command to them. And before he dies, though, he gives the Matrix of Leadership to Ultra Magnus, and this is supposed to be a power that will save the Autobots. And I thought that felt like a real science fiction-y kind of a thing. It really worked. And they have been in this battle with the Decepticons, and all of the wounded of the Decepticons are sort of floating in space, including Megatron, and they end up getting kind of taken in, I guess, by this planet called the Unicron. And it's this humongous transformer, the Unicron, and it like sucks up whole planets with people, and you actually see it's like a mass genocide. It's pretty intense for a kids film. It's true, it really is. But it also creates tension and excitement, and you don't really know what's gonna happen. And so Unicron takes in all of these Transformers that have been wounded in the battle, and Unicron makes a deal with Megatron that if he heals Megatron and gives him a new body, that Megatron will go and get the matrix of leadership from Ultramangus. So that's sort of where the plot really kind of gets going. The point where Megatron becomes Galvatron. Next, we meet a Transformer on Earth named Hot Rod, and he's kind of the new cool thing. And he is there with a little boy named Daniel, a human boy, and there's some nice little scenes of him driving around with Daniel and fishing and stuff, whatever. Sort of a little bit of a break, a little breather, another thing that Michael Bay could learn from, and none of the horrible racist comedy that Michael Bay likes to have. Women in this film for Michael Bay to objectify. So there's a lot going for it that those films don't have. Segment where Hot Rod is imprisoned by this planet, Quintessence they're called, and they have this whole trial of Hot Rod, and he ends up, there's this scene where there's these shark transformers that he ends up getting sent, tried this execution, and he ends up being able to fight them off. He's able to escape with the Dinobots, which do add a little bit of humor. There's a little bit with the Dinobots. Anyway, so then they go and meet up with the rest of the Autobots that are on the trash planet. And this is where Ultramangus meets up with Galvatron. Galvatron gets the Matrix of Leadership from Ultramangus. He defeats him, and he's going to use it to try to control the Unicron. But it turns out that he doesn't have the power to use it because he's not the chosen one. And so he actually antagonizes Unicron, who ends up destroying Galvatron. Unicron turns into his Transformer self, and the Autobots are able to crash their ship into his eye, and they are able to defeat him, and Hot Rod ends up getting the Matrix of Leadership. It turns out it's not effective for Ultramangus, but it works for Hot Rod, and he becomes a new Transformer, Rodimus Prime, with the Matrix of Leadership. So he is the new Optimus Prime, and it's a good story. Doesn't that sound like a good story to you? I think it is. You've got Judd Nelson as Hot Rod. You have Leonard Nimoy as Galvatron, and you have Orson Welles as Unicron. And so it's a great voice cast. It takes itself seriously. It's not a joke. It's not just fluffy entertainment. It's a real sci-fi story. And the animation is pretty darn good. It's bright, it's colorful, and it holds up. And you've got great 80s music. It really packs a punch. And it's just overall, it's really entertaining. It's emotional. It does have a few swears in there, but not too bad. And it does have deaths of characters. And Optimus Prime's death is really, really sad. So, I don't know, you'd have to decide for yourself, for you and your family, if it's something that you want your kids to watch. But I think it's okay, and I think it's a really, really solid, good story as opposed to the Michael Bay movies. So let me know what you think of this movie, Transformers the movie. Do you like it? And what do you think of the animation? What do you think of the other elements? Because I think it's really good and kind of underrated. So thanks so much. Please subscribe to my channel, and I'll talk to you later. Bye!